Hello, I'm Robert, science blogger and fact checker, and helping people who are scared of COVID-19 and various other things for the Facebook group Doomsday Debunked. And just going to look through some of the graphs for different countries just to help you see how to look at them. And it's actually looking quite good. So this is the United States. And as you can see, the increase was about 36%, 32%. It seems to be gradually going down at 13%. So that's quite a lot less than it was just 2 weeks ago. And that's pretty good, bearing in mind that they're putting more and more effort into finding the cases now. And if it's beginning to kind of level out, then basically when it starts leveling out, then you're heading for the halfway point. So you might be headed for maybe 500,000, 600,000 cases or something, if this was the real leveling out bit. And thing is, if you look at the cases per day, then they're still going up. But if they're going to peak soon, suppose that was the peak, I mean, there's no reason to suppose it is, then this, if you're doing the proper suppressing of this, such as South Korea did, then it goes down at about the same rate it goes up. You can go even faster if you're very aggressive in how you find searching for the virus in your society. So, and then it's delayed by about a week or two. So if their suppressing was very strong now, you expect to peak around then, because these are the diagnosed cases, and you peak the infections when you do the very aggressive case finding, isolation and tracking. So it could be that those cases actually peaked around there, probably around there, but they're only diagnosed here. So it's really been going up like that in the infections. But the infections are only diagnosed quite a lot later. So if this was the peak, then it comes down again about the same rate, if you really do it properly. And so then that would be half the number of cases have already been the ones that have been diagnosed. So that's being kind of reasonably optimistic. But so then, if suppose it was 500,000, and that's averaging 10,000 cases per state. And some would be 500,000, 50, 10,000 cases per state. So that's, and then some of course a lot less and some a lot more. About half, getting on for half of those are in New York. Anyway, but it does look, if you look at these percentages, you see the thing is, percentage, if it was just increasing constantly as like an epidemic does at the early days, the percentages are constant. So you're having 36%, 30%, you're doubling every 3 days or every 4 days, down to 13%. And you can actually do a little calculation. If you've got to find log 2. This is to find the doubling time. Log 2 divided by log 1 plus 13 in this case, over 100. And that corresponds to 6 days doubling time. See? So it's going down. Well, it's originally, where are we? Where is it? First one, United States. Right, so back here it was 36%. We go to our same thing and we replace that 13 by 36. wait for it to do its thing. If it's there, and it was originally doubling time for a little bit over 2 days. So it's going down quite a lot. Well, the percentage is going down, the doubling time is going up. And if you aren't doing anything to contain it, then the doubling time stays constant, and the percentage increase every day would stay constant. So if we weren't suppressing it, then it would be, say, 30% or something just continuing, or 20% continuing. That is continually going down. It shows that they're suppressing it, even though the cases per day are going up. As we see here, those number of cases is a smaller percentage of the whole lot than that number of cases was. This means it's no longer going like that. It's beginning to level off, and then hopefully keep on leveling off. And you can see how that is actually happening with other countries. So go and look at some other countries. So first of all, this is Italy, and you can see it's down to 4% per day. So we go and do our same calculation and replace that 36 by 4. And it's got a doubling time of 18 days. So there's Italy, and it's been a doubling time of 18 days for some time. And it's finding it difficult to get the last little bit. Some of that may well be imported cases from other countries. So, it's still struggling to get below 4%, but it's definitely reduced its doubling time, increased its doubling time hugely, and reduced the percentage a lot. Here is Spain, and they're getting down towards that 4% figure. Here is Iceland. Iceland is a very self-contained country. They're doing loads and loads of testing. They are trying to test everyone, whether they've got symptoms or not. So large numbers of cases don't always mean that you've got that it's actually a worse problem. It can be that they're just doing very, very effective case finding. And in Iceland, anyone who wants a test can get it done, even if they have no symptoms at all of anything. So they're gradually hoping to test the entire Iceland population. And so far, only 1,400 have it. And it's going up by 3.9%, so less than that 4% figure. So they're definitely flattening it off. And Iceland will have amongst the best data that we have, apart from some very special cases like a city in Italy. If you go to Germany, then they're going down as well. So you can see a general pattern that there's definitely a fair bit of suppression going on in all these countries. Apart from the United Kingdom, sadly where I am, even there seems to be some chance. Now here we look at South Korea, and there you can see it's down to less than 1%. So South Korea has been suppressing it for a long time, and it's only nearly all of that 1% will be incoming cases from other countries. It's quite difficult to get down to zero when you've got, if you have travellers coming from other countries that have got COVID-19. Even if they don't meet anyone there, they just arrive in your country, they develop the case, which they got infected somewhere else, and then they come up as one of your figures. And then sometimes they infect someone else because they come into your country when they're pre-symptomatic. And no matter how fast you are at finding your cases, if you have someone comes in who's pre-symptomatic, unless you test absolutely everyone who comes in, then keep testing them every day, then they might infect someone else before you find them. So something like that, about 1%, it's not too surprising if you don't manage to get below that until the rest of the world manages to control its infections. Here we've got, what have we got here? Iran. So Iran, they are now doing a fair bit of testing, and so you can see also that partly by the deaths, 1,600 out of 21,000, 3,000 out of 56. No, the deaths are still quite a high percentage. I don't know what, but I don't know what fraction of all the cases those 55,000 are, but you can see they're doing a pretty good job of finding the cases now, apparently, and it's going down. It's gone down to 5%. Again, with them not decreasing the cases, it looks as if they're starting to get theirs under control. Here we have Ireland. So Ireland is managing to reduce this from 31%. It's got it all the way down to 8%. Ireland has that's Southern Ireland, Republic of Ireland. They have a particular difficulty because they've got a very porous border with the UK, which isn't doing anything to have very little to of the contact tracing. They're not doing contact tracing anymore, and not isolating mild cases, but Ireland is doing everything. Managing. It seems to be slowing down. This is the France. They seem to be gradually they're down to 6%. So the general picture we're getting is definitely there's a fair bit of suppression going on. If we go to the United Kingdom, then this is the one where they're just only doing physical distancing, and if you go by what the WHO find from their experience, then physical distancing alone is not enough. But in a way, we're doing an experiment, to see how much effect does physical distancing have by itself. Sadly, you can't really trust the new cases per day because those are only hospitalised cases, and the criteria for hospitalisation could change as the epidemic continues, and people just know that they're nearby hospital, they're rather full of beds and so on. So I don't really see how we can really put a lot of trust into that, because just lots of individual decisions are adding up to those numbers as to whether a case is sent to the hospital or not. And you also get people like in old people's homes, and some of them might not want to go under a ventilator or whatever and just want to stay in their home and die. I mean, some people do that. So you don't really know what the stories are behind these numbers. And then you have the deaths per day, and again it's very hard to know what's happening there. So the United Kingdom, as I said, if we go by the WHO, then what they're doing is nowhere near enough to suppress it, so we can expect these numbers to keep going up. And it's really impossible to tell from this, just because they haven't got enough data. We can't do a direct comparison. These are testing all the mild cases. The United Kingdom isn't, so we can't compare them. And I personally think that the United Kingdom is in is not in a good direction at the moment. But I've talked about that before. Hopefully we come round and start testing all the mild cases again and finding them, and then doing what the other countries are doing. But generally, it's not looking so bad. The other countries are containing it in Europe and in the United States, at least to some extent. And the WHO said the other day that we have to, once we find that the numbers are dropping, such as they definitely would say that is happening in Italy and that is happening in Spain, then they say this is not the time to let up on your lockdown. What you have to do is to go very aggressively after the virus, and you've got to isolate everyone, find their contacts, quarantine them. Now you've got a little bit more time, a bit more resources, and instead of letting up the lockdown, go really aggressively against them, finding the virus until eventually you get down to 0 cases. And that is how to get to a situation like where South Korea, get to that fraction of percent. Then if you don't do that, if you release the lockdown too soon, then something like Spain, then you just keep going at your 5-6%, or keep going at your 4%, which is quite a lot. You'll add, and you may even go up again. So, if you want to get like South Korea, which is the aim, South Korea is our best example of outside of China, which is our very best of all. We're down to 0 cases for several days internal to China. And if we want to do that, we have to, as the cases go down, as first of all the percentages go down and then the cases go down, we have to go very much after this virus and find everyone, all the people, and just use all our resources. We now, once it's going down, you have more testing capability, so test more people, keep testing, keep finding them, keep tracing their contacts, and people they've been in direct contact with, close contact or prolonged contact, you've got to go after those. And that's the WHO say we've got to do that, and keep on doing that, and then we can get all the way down like South Korea, and eventually with cooperation of all the countries doing it, then we can get down to 0. It's not really going to be possible if some countries like United Kingdom don't do their bit. Then it's going to be very difficult for the rest of the world to go all the way down to 0. But if we can get everyone on board, all doing this and all suppressing it, then there's no reason at all why we can't be down to 0 cases, say 2-3 months from now. Say 3 months from now, we could have eliminated this. If we do a really big step up in diagnostic testing, and the G7, G20 or whatever countries, that the most wealthy countries, they're well capable of hugely stepping up the diagnostic capabilities, I'm sure they are. Then if we do that and we really go aggressively after it and find even the asymptomatic ones and the pre-symptomatic ones, even not through contact tracing but just by testing everyone, like Iceland is trying to do, then we can stop this very, very fast. Even South Korea is not doing that yet. But Ireland is starting to do it. Iceland is starting to do it. One small province of Italy had great success for Luciano, or whatever they call it. I can't remember the pronunciation of the name. But they got all the way down from 3,300 with maybe 100 or so cases, 90 to 100, down to just to 3,000 and then no new cases after that in just a fortnight. And that method can certainly be used in hospitals. Got an outbreak in a hospital, then if you test absolutely everyone, the doctors, the nurses, the people who are working in the hospital, and the patients, symptomatic or asymptomatic, and then you test them all again, and you isolate all the ones found, then you can very rapidly get all the number of COVID-19 cases in your hospital down to 0. Within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, in about 4 weeks kind of time scale, depending how many you've got there. So it could be a few more weeks after that, but they're all isolated early on, and then you've got none left. So this is really just to, because I said I thought I'd do this because my last two were maybe a little bit, it is a rightly concerning situation, but there's no fault of promise here as well, and this is to help you with the promise for it. I hope some of you, I help some of you be a bit more optimistic about this, and the good news really is how we're all keeping together with this and working together in a very big way. And even with the United Kingdom following its own different way from everyone else, they're still, donating and helping in other ways to other countries. They think their way is better. I wish they were right, but in a way, I don't wish they were right, because their herd immunity means lots of people dying. but I wish we were going in the right direction. And but this is just so clear that South Korea is doing it right. So anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of good happening. Always is. And even in the worst places, there are lots of people. Oh, and yes, they're just the final thing. Some of the people I help think that COVID-19 is going to kill everyone. That is absolutely impossible. Out of 1,000 people who get it, 800 will just have the mild version. It progresses slowly. For the first week, it's mild, and if you're in that 800, it never gets into your lower respiratory system. It doesn't like it very much in the upper respiratory system. You just have this cough and a bit of a fever, and then gradually you get over it, and some people not even that, not even a cough. So if you're lucky and it just stays up in the upper part of your body and only a few little viruses get into your lungs, into lower parts of your lungs, then you could be over this. That's 4 out of 5. But if you're unlucky and they don't really haven't really figured out what the factors are yet, and it's certainly not just being unhealthy, because you can have a weak immune system, and yet the top 8, it just never goes down there in a serious way, and you're over it, and you're one of those 4 out of 5 that are fine. And then you could be a very healthy, young individual, but for you, for some reason, it goes down, and it gets established, and then you're onto a ventilator for 6 weeks or something. Then you most likely recover, because your body is very good and very well able to overcome it, but there is this minute chance, 1 in 1,000 chance, that you die. Again, just because the way it goes, it happens to go that way. And so that's the situation, but there's no way that this is going to lead to everyone dying. And the other things on a personal level, you can totally protect yourself from this. If you do everything rigorously, it can only get through your eyes, nose and mouth. If you can stop it getting into your eyes, nose and mouth by keeping other people at distance and not using your hands to transfer it to your eyes, nose and mouth, it can only get there into your eyes, nose and mouth. It can't get into your body through your skin. It can only get into your body through your eyes, your nose and your mouth. There are only 2 ways it can get in that way. One is through people talking to you, coughing or sneezing from within a metre. If you keep 2 meters away from them, the drops that they produce that are infectious, they fall to the ground in seconds, they just can't get to you. The very small drops they produce are not infectious for COVID-19, except with certain medical procedures which can take the big drops and can break them up into bits. And then the only other way it can get in is from your hands, touching your eyes, nose and mouth. And so if with your hands, if you always make sure you wash your hands, some people just never touch their eyes, nose and mouth, it's just not their habit. If you are such a person and you wash your hands last thing at night before you go to bed, before you wash your face, wash your hands very thoroughly with soap and water, then it's got no way to get into your body. It's as simple as that. So these are very effective. It doesn't work for flu, because flu is airborne. So if you follow those instructions of washing your hands in the right way, then you won't get COVID-19. You will be protected from some flu colds, but not all. You will not be protected from SARS. We don't need to worry about that, because SARS is not spreading. I don't think you're protected from MERS. You are protected from COVID-19. You are not protected from flu. So these instructions are very specific to COVID-19. They will help you reduce your risk with other diseases. They can completely stop COVID-19, because even with over 1 million people infected with it, they do not yet have even a single case of proven infection by airborne transmission. Last I checked, it was end of March, the WHO survey of literature so far have not found a single case of confirmed, and with SARS that happened very early on, that they had confirmed cases, with obviously much less than 1 million, just a few, very early, I think it was a few hundreds or something. They already knew. Certainly, they had an infection in a plane, they had infection in a hotel, they had infection in a hospital. All of them at a distance. And that has just not happened with COVID-19 at all. And we would certainly have noticed by now, and people would have written papers about these things. So, do that, and you are very well protected from COVID-19. If everyone did that, everybody would be breaking chains of transmission. There would be no way for it to get into anyone's eyes, nose or mouth. So, sadly, it's not possible to make sure everyone does that, but it is possible to make sure that you don't do that, and that you don't let it into your body, and that the people that you care for don't, and anyone who you are capable of, who you will listen to what you say, then they can be protected in the same way. So just my usual thing, if you join the Doomsday Debunk group on Facebook, then please, you can do, obviously you can just read and nobody cares, but how you do it, and you can send us PMs, and then if you're scared and just want to send me a PM, I have a big difficulty keeping up with my PMs at the moment, so do keep bumping it. If I don't notice you, then just send me another PM. And then, but there are other debunkers in the group that can also help. If you are going to post to the group, then before you do any posts or comments, please take a careful look at the instructions at the head of the group, because these are necessary for it to function properly. And the instructions explain why.